Hello student, this video is ISI 2017 model paper of Msqe examinations economic segment solution. I will be focusing on onto the solutions. If you need the questions, in the description I have given the question link as well. Okay, let's start. The first question was about under the nominal wage rigidity, the short run aggregate supply curve, what will be the shape of the aggregate supply curve? So before going to that, let me explain what is wage rigidity. It happens in the short run. So in a wage rigidity model, where we can explain it by PF by P equal to theta, okay, where in this particular structure F equal to flexible price and P can be written as PF to the power M1 by S A. So this is the basic structure of wage rigidity model we follow. And the sticky information means normally in the short run they don't want to change the wage structure. So under these circumstances, the particular shape of the curve, which is aggregate supply curve, so if wage is rigid, so the fixed wage, so this is the curve. So simply the supply curve will be an upward, aggregate supply AS will be an upward sloping curve. So here we go with the option that is C. So AS is upward sloping. Okay. Now next question is question number 2. This question says about under rational expectations and no nominal rigidity. So rational expectation is there. And plus with that no nominal wage rigidity like the last case. So wages are flexible, wage flexibility. Aggregate output is sensitive to what are the two things? Okay, simply if rational expectation, so simply remember that they want aggregate output, so is sensitive to which supply? It's obviously, now there are two types of supply, one is anticipated, one is unanticipated. Now as the rational expectation theory says, so the entire supply curve has to be the unanticipated one, unanticipated supply, and but the demand structure, but when it comes to demand shocks, this has to be anticipated. So we have an unanticipated supply and an anticipated demand, so ultimately the rational expectation goes on. So let me tell you what is here a short note on what is a demand shock. So this demand shock is nothing but a certain event that increases or decreases demand for goods and services, but this is changing it temporarily. Diagrammatically could be represented by the supply curve is like this, as it is unanticipated, so this shock is increasing the pattern. This is for a positive demand shock increases the demand and a negative demand shock decreases the demand part, and the prices of the goods and services are affected in both the cases. So when the demand for a good or service increases, its price typically increases because of the shift in the demand curve to the right, and when the demand curve shifts to the left, then obviously there will be a huge amount of price fall. So either this and this and this is the basic structural format. Okay, now we are proceeding to the third question. The third question says Keynes argued that monetary policy was ineffective during the Great Depression. So monetary policy, there are two policies, monetary and fiscal. In the ISLM model we have done a lot of things on this. So Keynes argued that monetary policy was ineffective. So there is no effect of monetary policy ineffective during the Great Depression in the 1939 and the 1930s, and the reason can be represented here simply as we are talking about the monetary policy. So your brain may says, okay, it has to do with the LM curve then. Let's see. We cannot be so sure. The first option says IS curve was vertical and stuck at low level of income. Now see what happens when monetary policy is ineffective. That means what is happening is that the curve IS is look like this. So the entire structure of ineffective monetary policy can be drawn in this way. So this is the IS curve, and if you keep on increasing the LM from LM1 position to LM2, so here zero interest responsiveness of investment spending. So here's a vertical IS curve, implies expansionary monetary policy ineffective in raising the national income. So at the time of Great Depression, IS curve was vertical and stuck at a low level of income. So this thing is at a low level. So that's very important. And the second option they have given, this is most possible option to me right now. You can check the other options. Both IS and LM curves were vertical. Now both the curves were vertical was a completely wrong idea. IS curve was continuously shifting while LM curve was vertical. No, that is not happening, because if IS curve was shifting and LM curve was vertical, then that is called ineffectiveness of the fiscal policy, and none of the above choices correct. No, option A is the most applicable in this particular arena, so we will go with option A. Okay, so now we are proceeding to option number 4, question number 4 rather say. So in 4, what is happening? So in the basic solo model of growth, okay, so we have solo growth model. Many of you have done it on solo growth model, a very important model indeed. So in solo growth model, what is happening? They have given 4 possibilities. Now this time they have given a question. It's not a question. So 4 possibilities. So we have to cross check and check whether anything is assembling with this structure or not. Okay, let's see with the first one. So in the basic solo model of growth, an increase in the savings rate raises steady state. An increase in the savings rate raises steady state rate of growth. Now the important thing is that in solo model, smallest, that is savings rate, actually has no impact on growth rate. Okay, has no effect on growth rate. Now this is very important. So the first option is obviously incorrect. Next is an increase in the growth of population. So population increases. So N is increasing. Lowers the steady state growth rate. Well, as we don't know about the technological progress and these other important factors, so we are not sure. So B is not completely wrong, but not sure about it right now. So we can proceed to the option C. Okay, an increase in the growth rate. Remember that if you are not sure, put it like that and wait for the other options. It's very important. An increase in the growth rate of population. So again, N rises, has no impact on the steady state rate of growth. Now this same one is also incorrect. Obviously the population goes high and the technological progress is not there, so ultimately growth rate will fall. So no effect is an incorrect option. So C is officially incorrect, A is officially incorrect. And now coming to the D, an increase in the savings rate. So savings rate again increasing like the first case, has no impact on the steady state rate of growth, and that's what I was saying in the first A part. So obviously option D is the most applicable and correct option in this case. So correct option is, it's D. So 4 is D. Now we are proceeding to question number 5. So what's happening in 5? In 5 they are talking about money multiplier. Now if we say about money multiplier, let me tell you what is a money multiplier is. So in this money multiplier, is one of the various closely related ratios of the commercial banks to central banks. So it's completely commercial bank to central bank money under a fractional reserve banking system. So there is a fractional reserve banking system which is very important, and in general the formula is M equal to 1 by RR. Reverse reserve ratio is this thing, and where M is, that 1 plus currency drain ratio divided by currency drain ratio CDR plus desired reserve ratio. So this one is important, and here is another formula for deposits as well. For example, for deposits in this, the formula is summation of n equal to 0 to infinity and 1 minus alpha minus beta minus gamma whole to the power n, or 1 by alpha plus beta plus gamma. Now you can be wondering what is alpha, beta, gamma. Okay, simply alpha equal to legal reserve ratio. Okay, alpha equal to legal reserve ratio, which lies between 0 to 1, and beta equal to excess reserve ratio, which is also lie between 0 to 1, and gamma is actually currency drain ratio respect to deposit. So currency drain ratio with respect to deposits. Now this is very important. Okay, so in this particular structure, now if we are proceeding to the question, the money multiplier is dash in the reserve ratio and dash in the cash deposit ratio. So simply it's very easy now from our discussion already. So money multiplier is actually obviously be falling or decreasing. So this thing is decreasing in the reserve deposit ratio, but when it comes to cash deposit ratio, so this thing will also be falling, the cash deposit ratio. Okay, now if you have any problem with the structure of the reserve ratio is nothing but the cash reserve ratio. It's like that it is the percentage of the deposit which commercial banks are required to keep as cash according to the directions of the central bank. So that's it. So reserve ratio is an important tool for the monetary policy of an economy and plays an essential role in the regulating of monetary supply. So this is the part. And if we proceed in this way, then you can see that the cash with the deposit ratio is also an important cross segment in this particular structure, because into the data format, CDR is actually the ratio how banks lends out the deposits if it has mobilized. So simply that pattern is being followed over here. So we can say that both the things will fall, and the option according to given is 5B. So it will be falling. Okay. Now we are proceeding to our next question. In the next question, what we have here is 6B. Now in this question, it's about IS and LM again. If the IS curve is downward sloping, okay, this is our IS curve and that's downward sloping, and LM curve is vertical. So this is the thing they have said, okay. LM curve is vertical, a unit increase in the government expenditure. So what is increasing? This by 1 unit. An unit increase in the government expenditure results in what? It results in what? So that's a question. So in this you have to know all the options, all the thing goes with a very important thing. It's called a crowding out. So crowding out will happen. So let me explain what is crowding out effect here in short in order to understand the options. So the options are crowding in and higher increase in the equilibrium income, no crowding out effect, partial crowding out or complete crowding out. So these are the four things is happening. So if we want to do that, we have to know what is a crowding out thing. What is this thing all about? So crowding out, so something is going away. Okay, so normal crowding out can be represented by a diagrammatic representation as well. For example, let me just say what is the crowding out. It's a situation when increased interest rate, when R rises, when increased interest rate lead to a reduction in the private investment and the private sector is falling, and such that it dampens the initial increase of the total investment spending. Okay, so ultimately total investment is also falling. So this crowds out, this initial increase in the rate of interest actually crowds out a lot of investment. That's why it is called a crowding out effect. Okay, so if this kind of thing is happening, we can represent it as a supply demand format as well, and in the ISLM format as well. For example, LM curve is upward sloping and IS curve shifts to the right. This is a case where the crowding out, so IS curve moves from left to right, causing higher interest rate. For example, this thing, interest rate is higher, IS1, IS2, and this is your LM, so rate of interest goes up. Okay, and expansion in the real economy, so it actually increases the real GDP rises. So that's the crowding out structure. Now what happens if you see this thing? Now if under these circumstances, if this one is downward sloping, if I go to my whole diagram and this, so this thing happens, if IS curve shifts like this, IS1 to IS2, then what happens? So this R1, R2 increases, so there is the entire part, remember mark my words very well, so the entire part is crowded out, and simply there is no increase in the equilibrium income. Equilibrium income is fixed at a point at Y, so no rise, so it is called completely crowd out, complete crowding out. So now if I check the options, I think you have it in your front of yourself. The option, yes, option D in the case of 6 is the correct answer. Okay, so this is the complete crowding out effect and its assimilation. Now question number 7 we are proceeding. So monetary policy is completely ineffective in raising output. So what is the question? Monetary policy. You know, the government mostly controls the fiscal and the monetary policy is market control. So monetary policy is ineffective. Okay, so it is not affecting, so is ineffective and completely ineffective in raising output. So monetary policy is ineffective in raising output in what circumstances? Okay, simple logic is that monetary policy is completely ineffective. It's like the question number 2. So where the IS curve was vertical and this is your LM curve. So if you keep on increasing LM1, LM2, or if you reduce, whatever you do it like this, so here in this case you can see that the IS curve, if the IS curve is vertical and there is nothing happening. Okay, so monetary policy is completely, so ineffectiveness of monetary policy happens with vertical IS. That's it. So we can see that vertical IS curve is only given luckily in option number B. So by very easily we can say the answer for this MCQ is 7B. You know, with this MCQ, cracking the ISI is relatively become easier for you now, because most of the cases you don't have to explain why. Only by just getting into the trade you can answer many of the questions. Okay, let's see the next question. What is happening? Which of the following statement is correct? In a closed economy, fiscal policy is more effective. Okay, so the question is, in a closed economy, so simply, so y equal to c plus I plus g, that's it. In a closed economy, fiscal policy is more effective. When fiscal policy is more effective, and they've given many options. The smaller the include in the change in the interest rate, the larger the include in the change in the interest rate, the smaller and induced. Smaller the induced change and the larger. So first of all, remember that in a closed economy, an interest rate is a very important factor. Okay, and if investment is not so much changing, okay, with respect to the effect of these changes of the monetary fiscal policy, not much changing with respect to fiscal policy changes, then we can say the interest rate changes are very important. So under these circumstances, it's very easy. Directly we can go for the rate of interest change is too high, too high, okay, and responsiveness of the investment is very small. So simply smaller responsiveness and with very high, so we will go with option number B. So that's it. Now next is this one, question number 9. Question number 9 says, which of the following spells the most fundamental difference between standard slow-low model and standard optimal growth model? Okay, so what is the difference? Let me, the key to answer to this is not just knowing, but without just seeing it, the options, how can you answer it? So before going for the option, I can say the basic difference between solo growth model and the standard optimal growth model. Solo and the standard optimal growth model. So you see what is happening in this particular model actually, and in the model of standard model, okay, rather say, so there is the law of capital accumulation can in generally represented in this way, minus n plus g plus sigma into k. That's a basic pattern. And in the Solow's basic structure, which is the endogenous model actually, so we represent it by a simple diagrammatic format, which even if you know. So this is like this, and this one, and it goes, sorry, yeah. So this is standard, and this is one is represented by the common format, which is n plus g plus d k f of k, and this is s same straight into f of k. So that is the pattern. So under these circumstances, what we can say that now the first option, they have said the rate of technological progress is endogenous and in the former but exogenous in the later. Now this is completely wrong. The rate of technological progress is actually exogenous in the first and endogenous in the second. So first option is incorrect. Let's go for the second option. The savings rate is exogenous in the former, means in the solo growth model. Yes, savings rate is, you can see that savings is exogenously given, and endogenous in the standard optimal growth model. Yes, endo. So option B seems to be the correct option. You can see still the option C, that capital utilization is exogenous in former but endogenous is no. It's not about the capital accumulation. We can't say about anything. So C is incorrect. So obviously option D is none of these. So that is also incorrect. So we can say that 9 option C is B is correct. Now proceeding to question number 10. 10 is about model. So let's see the model based structure. Consider a simple Keynesian model. So they have given a simple Keynesian model, SK km. Okay, so they have given a simple condition model where equilibrium output is determined by aggregate demand. Okay, that's it. Next part is investment is autonomous and constant proportion of the income is saved. So constant part of income is saved in the framework, and increase in the savings proportionately has the following which effect. So here if savings goes up, so what will be the effect in the particular economy? So it leads to the higher level of output in the new equilibrium. Obviously this will not happen, output will not increase, output will be falling in this case. It leads to a lower level of output. Yes, so output Y will fall in this case. This is correct. The level of output in the new equilibrium remains unchanged. That is also wrong. And the level of output in the new equilibrium may increase or decrease depending on the degree of increase in the savings propensity. Actually, it doesn't depend, because savings propensity with respect to this by default, actually as a result of forced savings, will lead to fall in the value of output. So obviously this one goes with option number B. Now we can proceed to question number 11. Now 11 to 14 based on an economic structure. A long question is given, and on the basis of that they have solved some questions. Okay, 11, 12, 13, 14. We will solve the numerical portion once we just end the other portions first. Let me just go to question number 15 directly from this, then we will get back to this. So 15, single question. The Mundell-Fleming model. So in the Mundell-Fleming model, a small open economy with flexible exchange rate, a small open economy with the flexible exchange rate, what is happening now? And a perfect capital mobility and a perfect capital mobility. So capital can be transferred from sector 1 to sector 2 to 3 in that way. Suppose that the economy is initially in equilibrium. Okay, so if the lump sum taxes, so now there is a tax, lump sum tax, we know this kind of taxes has no effect on after derivative, are increased, what happens in the equilibrium levels of the countries? There are three things: GDP, interest rate, and exchange rate. Now under these circumstances we can say that the basic structure is, as perfect capital mobility is there, that is very important, capital mobility, and economy is initially at equilibrium. So if there is a lump sum tax, obviously there will not be any change in the first two. So lump sum tax has no effect on changing GDP or interest rate. Okay, now there is still a point that what happens with respect to the exchange rate. So if lump sum taxes are there, so obviously in the international market the exchange rate will plummet, that means fall. So the first one unchanged, second one unchanged, third one fall. According to the given structure, we can go for option number B. That's it. Next, now we are proceeding to question number 16. 16 we are talking about Raju. Raju is a day-to-day boy, and what he thinks that he is purchasing two goods, good 1 and 2. We can put it like x1 and x2. Okay, he thinks that 2 units of good 1 is always perfect substitute for 3 units of good 2. So 2 units of good 1 is perfect substitute. 3 units of good 2. Which of the following utility function is the only one that would not represent Raju's preference? Not represent. So let's see the first option. So u equal to x1 x2 9x1 square 12x1 x2 plus 4x2 square. So it's a quadratic function. So this can be a possibility. Next there is clause 2 units of good 1, that is 2 of x1. 2 units of x1 plus x1 is always perfectly substitutable with 3 units of good 2. Okay, so substitutable, so this is not happening. In the second equation is u of x1 x2 minimum of 3x1 and x2. Now this one is the odd option because whenever it's minimum, so this is the complementary function. Okay, so by utility function for complements. But our given structure is given with respect to substitute, so obviously this cannot be the option. Okay, so the option we don't need to proceed further. So here it is 16. Our answer goes with B. Now we are going for the 17 option. So here Ria is a girl. After Raju we have Ria. So Ria has a demand function. Okay, so Ria has a demand function for mango juice given by Q equal to 0.02 M minus 2P. Okay, where M is obviously the income and P is the price. So single product and Ria's income is M equal to 6,000. And she initially has to pay a rupees 30 per bottle of mango juice. Okay, so P equal to 30. That's it. The price of mango juice rose to 40, substitution effect of the price change. So we have to talk about the substitution effect of the price change. So here we can put these values into this function. We can calculate that Q 0.02 into 6 into 2 into 30. So 120 minus 60. So this one is 60 units is the initial one. And after that, when mango juice prices goes to 40, so Q2 will be still is 120 minus 30, so this is 80, so this is a 40 unit. So as this thing is associated with the substitution effect, so simply the demand of the entire structure will be reduced by the, you can calculate this. So with respect to demand format and the substitution effect, the income effect is actually 20, but here the substitution effect will lead to the fall, and ultimately demand will fall by 8 units. Okay, so simply for 17 the option goes for C. Now in case of question number 18 we are proceeding now.